Hello, and thank you for giving us another opportunity to spend some time with you on Stairway to Health, brought to you by Health Experts Canada. We've got some great ideas, new information, and hopefully a few laughs for you today. Who knows, if you're not careful, you may learn something.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Stairway to Health podcast. I'm your host, Frank Pirri, and I'm here with
Marilyn Mitchell.
And today I thought we would dive into a subject that is known as perception.
Okay.
Well, it's interesting because, it's been a while since you and I have been on here, and, we've been on hiatus for a bit. And part of that reason was we just went through a massive move.
Yes.
Huge upheaval. We moved our life, we moved our business, we moved everything to a completely new area, something pretty spectacular. And it was a very exciting process, but it was also very chaotic.
Well, I think the process sounded like it was going to be wonderful and easy. And, just on paper, it looked real easy. Like it wasn't a big sheet of paper when we put our plans down.
Yeah.
And so my perception of, changing all of that sounded pretty good, easy, and very pleasant. And then it began.
Right. Then reality hit.
Mm-hmm.
And reality sometimes has a funny way. What we envision and what we perceive something to be in our mind. And we can, the idea here is to relate this directly back to our own personal states of health, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have to make a change. We find ourselves in a state of shock. We go to the doctors, we're told something specific, and we know that a change has to happen. And the perception in our mind is maybe that it's not easy. Maybe the perception is that it's too daunting or too extreme or too much, and we don't know where to begin. And in our case, with respect to the move and the whole, perception, at first it seemed real easy.
Yeah, it was the other way around.
It was the opposite, right?
No, but it's true, because a lot of times you have a mental image of what something entails. And if you're talking about taking on, let's say, a new eating pattern or something, you think, I don't know, what does, if I can't have this, well, what am I going to have? There's nothing I can eat. I'm going to be starving all the time, et cetera, et cetera. Well, so that's where you perceive an entirely negative scenario when you have to make a change. In the case of moving, I put a very positive spin on it. So what is there to do? You put your house up for sale, it goes on the market, you sell it, you move out, you move to a new place, you move in. How difficult is that? Until someone said, here's your first 100 boxes and here's some paper, go ahead and wrap up your china. And I didn't know I had so much stuff in my house. I had no comprehension of what it was going to take to move. Now, here I am sitting saying this, and we're on the other side of all that having to be done. And yes, it's wonderful now, but my perception was nothing like what we had to go through. So,
and I think it's true for many people who start any new healthy lifestyle, healthy regime, healthy habit. It's very daunting at first for some people, or once they dive in, they may just understand with the appropriate help, assistance, guidance. To be honest with you, you and I had a lot of help and a lot of assistance,
absolutely.
Be it through friends, family, professionals who understood what it meant to make a move like we were making. And it certainly helped to make the process easier. So the same as having a health coach in your corner or somebody there to help guide you with the right or appropriate messaging for whatever you're trying to accomplish. I think it boils down to positive or negative perception. If you can flip the negative into a positive, right? Tap into that, then it's not as daunting a feat, to achieve whatever you're setting out to accomplish.
Do you know what I think it relates to a little bit? Have you ever gone to visit somebody or had to go to, a wedding reception or something, and it's in a place where you've never been before. So you plug it into your phone nowadays or wherever you've got on your car, and it tells you how you're getting there. Well, from where you start till the time you get to where you're going seems like forever because you don't know where the end is. You don't know whether you've got another hour in the car before you're there or whether it's around the corner. So it seems like such a long, a tedious thing to do. But if you have to go back there two or three times, by about the third time, it's nothing. You're there, you pick up a coffee, you're in there, you're talking, you're listening to music or something, and you're there before you know it. So the distance hasn't changed, but your perception of what it is has changed.
Sure, absolutely. I get it. And I think that's it's so much a part of mindset,
Mm-hmm.
the human element, the human idea of perception, how we look at things and how we see the journey, right?
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, like just like how you said it, right? You get in the car the first time, it's a long and daunting unknown, but the more often you do it, it becomes habitual. And the habit, understanding the habit and understanding what it takes to go from point A to point B, it's not so daunting anymore.
No, no, it's not. And I think that when we have clients that want to do something, let's say they come to us and they really feel out of breath going up the stairs and they want to get, some healthier lifestyles back. And they want to change their eating habits because they know getting fast food three times a day isn't the best thing for them, but they don't know where to start. So the whole perception of that whole thing is like there's a million things they have to do. They don't know where to start, what to do. The doctor said, well, you should take some vitamins, take some vitamin D, you're a little low in that. You should maybe think about taking some iron, an iron. They're just completely devastated with everything. So if we can change their perception that it doesn't have to be something that's completely devastating, it doesn't have to be something, and you take like one step at a time. It's like where we lived before, I quite often would go out and say, okay, I need some exercise. I'm going to walk around the block. And I would get bundled up in the wintertime or get prepared in the spring and summer. And I would walk around the block. I'd see people stop and talk. It was a wonderful time. Came home. So now I've moved. And let me tell you that a city block and a country block are not the same. So, I get bundled up. I put my boots on, my hat, my scarf. I go out the front door and I go down the street. And this road's going forever. And there's like no side street to turn off. So what do I do? Just touch a tree, tag it, turn around and come back? Like, is that what I have to do? So, I mean, I think my perception of the block was a little smaller in this case.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's things like that, and there's all sorts of books and that have been written on if you change your idea about something, then it completely changes how you go about doing it.
Yeah, for sure. I think, even in our lives, okay, doing what we do for a living, it can sometimes be very daunting to look at our schedule and see just how much we have going on. And it's when you break it down into minutia, so you break it down to the morning of the day of, you have a list of 3 or 4 things that need to be done, and you just set yourself out to tackle one thing at a time. It's no different with your health. It's no different with a lifestyle change. It was no different for us when moving. I mean, we had somebody sit down and help us plan out exactly how this was going to go. And we were able to take that checklist and check off
Yeah.
one thing at a time. And the beautiful thing is that your perception changes as you start checking off the boxes, because the list is getting smaller. The changes don't seem as grand anymore, and it becomes easier, more motivating to get through, to the end.
Well, I think when it comes to your health, we can look at that when it comes to eating and food and what we choose to eat. Now, if your doctor has said to you, you're sensitive to wheat and gluten, so I want you to try and cut back on that. I don't want you to have those things. All of a sudden, in your head, there is nothing left for you to eat on the planet. It's all been taken away. But perhaps if we sort of switch that around, and when we went into the grocery store and went into the produce section, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who walks through there sometimes and looks and said, well, what the heck is this? Like it says it's, and it has some weird name, but how would you use it? Do you eat it raw? Do you cook it? Why would anybody eat this? Or how would anybody eat this? It's kind of neat to be able to sit down with your coffee and say, I'm going to Google the name of that vegetable. And then it looks and you find out that it's used in some Eastern
Dish. Yeah.
recipes or, yeah. And so you get to try things that are different. I think the change is what frightens us sometimes.
Yeah, because people get very comfortable.
Of course we
Very
do.
comfortable, and comfort sometimes leads to complacency,
Mhm.
right? So if you're too comfortable doing what you're doing, right? Then I mean, you don't there tends not to be that edge to push you in a forward direction. Complacency leads sometimes to laziness. And we don't necessarily want to think of ourselves as lazy. We don't want to think of ourselves as not progressing. But if you wake up every single day in the same position that you've always been in, and you're looking to make a change, or a change needs to be made, then
Well, yeah, it's how you look at given. It can either be something you're forced to do, or it can be something you've given the opportunity to do. And, we've had clients come to us with literally a grocery bag full of empty vitamin bottles or like half filled vitamin bottles. And they're saying, I can't do this anymore. I have to stop. And what they want to do is because they don't understand what's in the bag, they want to stop doing everything. They can't, there's nothing. That's either all of them go into the garbage or they have to continue on and they don't want to do that. So when you sit down and when we sit down with them and go through, well, you don't need this, or this one's doing what this is doing. You're taking twice as much of these as you need to. And when you give them a clearer perception of what there is, like you said, make little lists and check marks and you get so now you've got 6 containers instead of a bag full. And now you can continue to be healthy and take vitamins and supplements and eat properly because you've narrowed down the
the
negativity.
scope, you've narrowed down the
That's
scope.
right.
It's not such a grand task anymore.
No, but then like I just find it very interesting that the human mind jumps to these conclusions all the time, whether something is really simple. I mean, how many times have we watched the television shows where the guys go, "Oh yeah, I just have to move the kitchen or the bathroom vanity over to the other wall and I'll just take the bathtub out and put a shower in." I mean, I've seen it a million times, and it shouldn't take me more than an hour because the guys on TV can do it in an hour. And they start something because in their mind, their perception is that it's going to be a piece of cake, not a
Simple.
problem. And then what happens? You run into situations that,
So it's also about planning. I
oh,
think perception,
absolutely.
perception and planning go hand in hand. I mean, whatever your perception is of what you're going through at this moment, the truth is it's probably not nearly as bad or as daunting as you think it is. It may also not be nearly as easy or as simple as you think it should be. But with the appropriate amount of planning and
Mhm.
structure, you can tackle anything. And the reality is, once you set out to accomplish said goal, by the time you get to the other side, you're looking back at it just like we did here. Now that we're settled, now that we're, enjoying our new home, our new offices, our new environment, we look back on it all and think that wasn't so bad.
Yeah, but at the time,
At the time, it seemed pretty incredible.
yeah, yeah, it is. But I think, like you've said, I think that taking something, a chore, a goal, a dream, a project, whatever it is, and sitting down and planning and having a realistic outcome in a realistic period of time. I think those two things go hand in hand as well.
Well, that's all part of our goal setting techniques that we help our clients with, right? They have to be attainable, they have to be measurable, they have to be specific. So there's a lot of things that you have to go through in order to set your life up to be very, very clean and organized. And it's not so daunting once you get started. It really and truly isn't. It does tend to make life much easier, not only with your health and with the changes you need to make, but with anything that you approach, be it in business, be it in, life, family, relationships. It's a pretty remarkable thing how you can change your perception in a more positive direction, no matter what it is, right? As long as you have an appropriate plan of action in place.
Absolutely.
So that's all the time we have for today. I thought that was pretty interesting, delving into perception and how it relates to health. I'm Frank Pirri.
And I'm Marilyn Mitchell. Until next time, remember, health equals wealth. So that's all the time we have today, but there's still so much more to talk about and learn. Head over to healthexpertscanada.com for more ideas on healthy living, and don't forget to like, download, and share this podcast with your friends, just for the health of it.